to the top of the morning show. I hope that you are through your hump day madness. Or it could be an even balance. It doesn't always have to be madness. It could be a great day. It could be a wind down Wednesday. Who knows? And just because we have a glass of wine doesn't mean that it has to be a bad day. It could be a great day. Today's topic, we talked about earlier in the week, the child that has grown on and moved out the house, whether they went to college or if they got married or if they simply just went on and got their own place. The things that we shouldn't be still doing because we want to teach them to be dependent on themselves and not codependent on us as parents. We could always be there for them, of course, but we can't always be there for them, if that makes sense. Well, this morning, we're going to talk about something that is old school than a mug. Some of y'all going to give a high five. Some of y'all going to say, damn, I ain't heard this in a minute. But we're going to talk about the things that you should not be saying in front of your children. Because children are children. They're going to run and tell it. They're going to run and they're going to say things. They're going to miss some things. They can say some things because they're listening and they're children. They can't store that much data. And then it can get all misconstrued, right? But if you just excuse them, see, back in the day, if you excuse them from the room, you ain't got to worry about it. Some people be like, I don't care. You care. You should care anyway. And everything ain't for little children's ears. They don't need to know all of the dysfunctionalism and ignorance and stuff that you may encounter as an adult, even if you are the person that's bringing it forth, okay? One of the things we need to worry about and should not do is badmouth other people in front of your child or children. Because whether you know it or not, you may allow that child to now formulate a thought or an opinion of that person or those people, and now they're behaving in such a way that you can't understand why they're doing it, and neither can other people. So when you got something you want to say that's not the best, it's not so positive, make sure that your child or children are not around. You know, when grown people are speaking, children should be nowhere present anyway, right? They should know, oh, they're about to have grown-up conversation, whatever that looks like, okay? Another thing is to avoid adult concerns in front of children, right? You don't want your child, and I speak from experience on this, you don't want your child to be in school worrying about, dang, are we going to be evicted? Are we going to have our lights cut off? Are we going to have running water when I get in from school? Or anything like that, right? Children should not have a care in the world as far as adult responsibilities. And when there is something going on, they shouldn't really be knowing what's going on. Unless it's something you just cannot avoid, right? But do your very best to keep certain situations and certain circumstances under wraps, right? Your child does not need to be worried about adult concerns. They have plenty of time when they grow up to be concerned about the things that we don't even want to be concerned about, and we're adults, okay? Now, here's one fun one. Devaluing adult chores. I'm going to say that again. Devaluing adult chores. If you don't feel comfortable with your job, if you don't like doing your housework, if you don't like cooking, etc., this can go on, right? Be careful not to talk about those type of responsibilities reluctantly in front of your child. This can set the tone that your child can say, well, I learned from my mother or I learned from my father that they're not motivated by any of this. And they don't even like to do it. They don't like to go to work. They don't like to go to school. They don't like to cook. They don't like to clean. They just don't like to. And I don't either. And so when your child starts or children start to display that behavior, you're looking like, where is this coming from? Well, I hate to tell you, put a mirror in front of you and stand in front of it if that is you. Instead of dumping out the negative in front of your child or children, try to always put out that positive. I'm not a big fan of cooking, but I enjoy cooking for my family. That's a nice way to put that. I don't particularly care about getting up early for work, but I know it's what I got to do. So I find joy in making sure that I can help take care of my family. So you may not like it. You told no lies, but you didn't flat out be like, I can't stand this job. I hate my job. I hate school. I hate work. I hate cooking. I hate cleaning. I hate. I don't like. Then they're going to be like, oh. And then they may come to feel like, wow, mom or dad, because it can go both ways, they don't like to cook. And so I feel bad that I'm saying I'm hungry because I know they don't like to cook. Can you get that point? It may be like over your head, or you might be like, damn, I didn't think of it like that. Think of it like that. Now, here's another one. Talk about children as if they are not listening. What does that mean, TT? Okay. Perhaps you're absorbing and doing things and you're thinking about if you talk about them, they won't hear you. That's not true. It's important that you respect who they are and that you don't talk about them as much. Not in a negative way. I can't stand her. He get on my nerves. He bad as hell. She bad as hell. She don't listen. He don't listen. Find another way. Make up a language. Speak in code. Have code words if that's necessarily what you got to do. If you got to discuss a situation about your child or children with your spouse or significant other or the other parent or another caregiver or a family member, it's better to do it when there's nobody around, like when you at work on your lunch break or something like that. But if your child is around, don't make them feel humiliated or singled out. It could tend to lead them towards being disrespectful, not only towards you, but towards your children. You might say, oh, I'll snatch them up. I'll gather them. And you will, and you probably have. But they don't need to hear that. And here's a big one, especially for all my married people. Avoid marital conflicts in front of your kid or your children. Now, it's common for us to have moments where we feel like, what? What? Hold it. Hold it. Don't do it in front of those children. Don't do it in front of that kid. Even if you have an even tone, they can tell the body language and all the other things that come along with that. And they can tell when one of the partners is hurt, whether it's mommy's feelings is hurt or daddy's feelings is hurt. And you don't want that child to look at you as, you made mommy sad. You made daddy mad. You made daddy sad. You made mommy mad. They don't need to know that. And then it also will catapult them into the area of creating emotional insecurities. They'll understand unnecessary pain and suffering without even have to understand what unnecessary pain and suffering. Because we're suffering. We're going through something. And it's not their battle. It's not their battle. But this goes back to what I was saying when, well, not now recently, but I did a show on this similar a couple of years ago. And it was just like a big hit on my podcast show. This is just not for my married couples. We have cohabiting couples. You live together, you're raising your child or children together. Y'all go through some of the same things we do as married people. Only thing is you're not married, you ain't Mr. and Mrs., you Miss and Mr. You might act like you're married, play like you're married, but you're not married. You're not under a covenant. You raising your child or your children together, and that's great. But you're not husband or wife. But you still have some of the same similar situations and circumstances. It doesn't have favoritism on married people or unmarried people. And a child is a child, and children are going to be children, no matter how you slice it and dice it. But there's certain things that children just don't need to be made aware of, shouldn't know about, and damn sure shouldn't be hearing. And if your mindset is like, I don't care, I'm growing, you need some parenting classes. Now, back in the day, when I was in high school, they offered teen parenting classes because we don't know. There's no damn handbook. Now, there are handbooks. There is. Let me take that back. There are handbooks, but we're not given a damn handbook at birth. The do's and don'ts of parenting, motherhood, fatherhood, what to do, what not to do. There are books out there, but what works for one may not work for you. What works for you may not work for others, and vice versa. This writer might come from this perspective. The next writer might come from another perspective. Everybody has an opinion, but nobody lives in your shoes. Nobody lives in your house. Nobody got to walk the walk you got to walk or talk the talk you got to talk. Or raise the child or children you have been blessed and given to raise. Whether you plan for them or him or her or not, they're here. And they deserve the best of the best that you are capable of giving. You can't give what you don't have. But you can seek to give what you don't have. And work at that to make sure that they have all the things you hope for them to have, and teach them about what it is not to have and working hard to get it. without complaining and all the other things. But when you must, because everything ain't gonna always be rosy, and we don't want to teach our children that everything is perfect. No, we don't. But we do have to teach our children how to think, how to behave, how to speak, and how to act. Well, that's all I have for you. I know that was a lot. But it's okay. You good. You great. Until the next time we see footprints across the sun, it is your girl, TT from the D, and I'll see you soon.